Welcome to
Retronaissance.
Today's topic, MegaMan. I'm Professor Icepick, and I'm doing this on my own today. Negative Hippie decided not to join in because, to be fair, MegaMan's a series that is very close to my heart, being one of the 3 games that I associate the most with my young childhood. The other 2 being, of course, Double Dragon 2 and Contra, both for the NES. So the reason I decided to do this episode was because Mega Man's kind of had a rough couple of years. I mean, first we get the announcement that Legends 3 is coming out, and of course Mega Man Universe, the game that no one except me cared about apparently. Then 2011, Mega Man Universe got cancelled, and I cared, but didn't seem like anyone else did. But then the big hammer dropped, and Mega Man Legends 3 was torn from us like a weeping child. And, well, to be fair, people kind of overreacted after that. They went insane. But to add insult to injury, the Mega Man game that Capcom decided to greenlight and go through with is excuse me, getting ahead of myself there, a cell phone game of questionable quality, known as Mega Man Crossover, or, as the fan community has taken to calling it, Mega Man's Over. See, because there's a little X there, being funny and everything. So, having said that, let's get started. How do we fix Mega Man? Well, in order to fix Mega Man, first things first, you have to understand Mega Man. Or rather, you have to understand Mega Mans. There are effectively 7 different main series in the Mega Man franchise. The original, of course, Mega Man, or Mega Man Classic as it's called by the fan base, Mega Man X, Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man ZX, and of course, the much maligned Mega Man Star Force. Now, some of these series you can't really revive quite as easily. In the cases of both Mega Man Zero and Mega Man Battle Network, the storylines for both of those games have come to a complete conclusion, which is why they were eventually sort of added on to with their own little sequel spin-offs, ZX and Star Force respectively. Star Force also came to a decisive conclusion. Given the ending of the game, it doesn't seem like they could really continue considering the major conflicts were all resolved, and Mega Man's secret identity, don't even get me into that, was revealed at the end of it. Mega Man Legends, on the other hand, that might seem like an easy choice, just make Mega Man Legends 3 again, but unfortunately, just due to everything that's happened, that would probably be the worst thing Capcom could do at this moment. So, just sort of take that and, put it on the shelf for a little while, let sort of some of the controversy and the anger and all the feelings die down before we try to do it again. Actually get it greenlit this time. Mega Man Classic I'd love to see again, but unfortunately, Mega Man Classic has also seen the most use out of all the games, especially recently. The last mainline Mega Man game to be released was Mega Man 10 on the WiiWare, Xbox Live Arcade, and PSN platforms. And people are just kind of getting sick of Mega Man Classic, unfortunately, especially those 8-bit style games, and trying to figure out how to revamp Mega Man Classic in a way that both respects the legacy of the games, but also brings enough newness to it, is difficult, to say the least. Which leaves us with Mega Man ZX, which pretty much bombed in Japan and America. So that's definitely not going to get its sequel, which makes me very sad, because that was actually a pretty good series, and the ending of the second game actually left us with a pretty big cliffhanger, which means that the winner by default is Mega Man X, my least favorite of the Mega Man franchises. So, Mega Man X9. How would you go about doing a Mega Man X9? The problems with Mega Man X9 are actually pretty widespread, to be honest with you. First of all, you have to figure out how exactly you're going to do the storyline. See, the Mega Man X series, it started off pretty solid, but around the 6th game, things sort of went out of control. You see, there's a pretty funny backstory behind this. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But Keiji Inafune, the proclaimed father of Mega Man, actually intended for the X series to stop at X5 and then continue on with the Zero series, which he ended up making anyway. But Capcom figured that X was still so hot that they could just make X6, and that's where the continuity nightmare begins. See, Mega Man X6 undoes Zero's final sacrifice, the major point in the beginning of Mega Man 01, and basically Zero apparently survived his fatal injuries once again and is back up and about, helping X with his Maverick hunting. This leads us to Mega Man X7, which added in a new character, Axel, who usurped the role from X himself, who at that point had turned into a complete pacifist, which frankly was probably a step in the right direction. I mean, it was a logical step given everything the X series was working towards, but at the same time, it just seems so out of character that he just give up and sort of become an administrator in the Maverick Hunter organization. Just sort of strikes me as weird. Axel was not popular, and neither were Mega Man X6 and 7, which were effectively considered terrible games, just awful games overall. Mega Man X8, on the other hand, was considered a better game, but it really sort of screwed up the storyline even more. See, at the end of X8... Oh, spoilers! At the end of X8, the new generation Reploid, Lumine, basically kills off Sigma, leaves his corpse on the moon, and then goes Maverick on his own and actually infects Axel with the Maverick virus. Axel being one of the new generation Reploids, which were supposed to be immune to the Maverick virus, but instead were actually simply able to choose whether or not they became Mavericks or not. And, well, just sort of left things in a very confusing position that, frankly, I think a majority of the fan base that are clamoring for Mega Man X9 would basically sort of, throw up in arms. Where's Sigma? Who's that guy with the stupid hair? Who's that other guy that looks kind of like a girl but turns out to be a guy and he's the bad guy? What's with all these people talking in my headset? And all that good stuff. Of course, the problem with the reboot is that there's a significant amount of people who actually want to see how Mega Man X8's storyline would play out. So there's a big problem right there. What to do about that? There's also sort of a hypocrisy going around. I mean, I've heard on the Capcom Unity boards that a lot of people figure that the best thing that they could do would be to make Mega Man X9 in SNES style, like the first 3 games in this franchise. And, well, it just sort of seems hypocritical for them to say that, Mega Man 10's graphics are so terrible and old school and retro and boring, and say, we need something new. We need something from the year of 1993. That's the future, man. 1993 is the future, man. It just sort of seems, kind of weird to me that that's the way it is. Of course, there's also a constituency who wanted to go 32-bit style graphics, like in the X4, X5, and X6 games, and I couldn't see that, but at the same time, you'd think that they just sort of, bite the bullet and go full on HD at that point. Of course, there's one other reason that I'm really against Mega Man X9, and that's because Mega Man X8 effectively killed off disc-based console Mega Man games forever. I'm not making this up. This is literally... Mega Man X8 is literally the last Mega Man game to be released as a full-on disc-based title on a console. Look it up, people. I'm not even lying. So this brings us to another controversial position, a reboot. How would we go about a reboot, you might ask? Well, to be fair, I'd personally be for a Western-based reboot. Now, I know, slings and arrows, probably coming at me with a mob with torches and pitchforks right now, but hear me out. There are a few good arguments for a Western-developed Mega Man reboot. First of all, despite all the hatred it gets, the Ruby Spears 90s Mega Man cartoon was still actually pretty good. I mean, let's face it was really off base from the original TV show, but I mean, compare that to like Captain N or even the other Capcom animated series like Street Fighter or Darkstalkers. Those were way off. But at least Mega Man sort of captured the value, the basic tenets of the Mega Man series and decided to just sort of have fun with it. Furthermore, we've also got another Western-run media that's actually going on at the moment, the current Archie comics. I've only read the first volume of that myself, but I'm sort of impressed by what we've got there. I mean, wow. The good art, good story, you know, it shows enough of the battles without making them sort of plod on forever and ever. Good pacing. And besides, I can think of one company that would definitely make a good Mega Man game, and people have actually been clamoring for them to make one in the first place. Of course, speak of WayForward Interactive. And besides, it doesn't really hurt that they've also handled two other games that I love, the two other games of the Trinity that I loved. Remember Contra 4? That was a WayForward game. And of course, Double Dragon Neon. So why not just add Mega Man to that list and just make the Trinity whole again? I guess this sort of brings me on to a personal take on what a AAA treatment might look like. Now, this probably isn't going to be so big, and I may expand upon this later on in another rant. But for now, I guess the best way to just think about it is sort of... Anyone out there a Transformers fan? Remember Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime, how they sort of picked and borrowed from all the various older Transformer series and sort of put them all together into a pod? I mean, sure, there was mostly G1 influences in both of them, but still, you could definitely see elements from other series show up in them, and frankly, that's how I'd love to see a Mega Man reboot done. Yeah, make a new one, set it in sort of a classic-style universe. Yeah, bring back Wily, Dr. Light, Roll, Mega Man. Maybe make Mega Man and Roll a little bit older as opposed to children. Make them young teenagers, maybe 15 to 16 years of age, chronologically anyway. Because clearly as robots they'd be like even way younger than that, of course. But also sort of throw in characters from other games, like, for example, Sigma. You could throw in Sigma as a literal computer virus as opposed to a evil robot who is basically the personification of a next-generation virus. Could even throw in the Bone Pirates as a bit of comic relief, sort of a mini-boss thing. Yeah, that would be fun. Of course, the problem with that is how would you incorporate certain characters that are sort of redundant? I mean, yeah, Zero is clearly one of the most popular characters in the entire Mega Man series, but at the same time, he sort of takes over the spots of both Bass and Proto Man, so you'd really have to think about how you'd be able to sort of incorporate all those characters, or which ones would be more important to the storyline as opposed to others. Unfortunately, though, I can kind of see part of the reason why a lot of people would be against a Western-led, especially with Capcom's track record with Western reboots lately. So I guess it could go a completely different way. I mean, they could do something sort of like based on an even more bleak and apocalyptic Mega Man X franchise, you know, make it even more serious, you know, make it maybe about some guy whose name is, I don't know, Xavier Mega Mannington, the Mega Manningest man in the world, who gets blown up and, you know, augmented with cyborg technology, and his His only companion is his best bud, Zero, who also has been augmented with a knife arm or something. Sort of like Mega Man meets Gears of War. So I can see why that would be problematic. I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be terrible. On the other hand, there probably is already a good reboot that's sort of waiting for us. Why not a bad box art Mega Man game? I mean, I'd buy 20 copies of that on every platform it's ever released on, even on the Vita. Hand to God, hand to God, Capcom, I would totally buy all those games. I mean, you use the Street Fighter Cross Tekken storyline as a base, clearly make it a parody of the earlier games, or, just sort of putting a whole bunch of fan service in there. Maybe use the Lost Planet engine, because that was kind of the point of it, to make a new engine for Mega Man Legends 3. I guess another thing you could do would be sort of get back to my original point. The Mega Man Battle Network series was really popular in Japan. Mega Man Star Force, on the other hand, was very unpopular all around the world. But the thing about it is that there was actually a 200-year gap between those series, so why not make sort of a interquel between the two? Mega Man Battle Network had some real staying power in Japan, but at the same time, Star Force was really unpopular, as I said before. So, sort of incorporate more Battle Network elements than Star Force. Maybe throw in some of the good ideas Star Force had in, but frankly, I think this is the only way Mega Man could possibly come back in Japan in any real capacity. Of course, other things I'd like to see would be Mega Man 11, with a new art style, of course. Don't use the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation art styles. Come on, guys, you can do better than that. I know you can. Or another thing I'd like to see would be Mega Man 6. Now, I know what you're saying. Mega Man 6? Ooh, what does this mean? Now, I'm talking Roman numeral 6, one of the Game Boy games. Put that on the eShop. Use NES-style graphics there. I'd love that. That would be amazing. Make original Robot Masters again, sort of like in Mega Man 5 for the Game Boy. You had the Star Droids. Do something like that. That would be incredible. Mega Man ZX3 would be another great game to see, but, that's clearly not going to happen. But, like I said, I'd probably buy 20 copies of that if you were to put that on the 3DS. Star Force 4, on the other hand, you can't really do much with that, just because the third one closed things up and, well, there's no fan support for it, to be honest with you. So, I guess there's only one other sequel that people have been clamoring for, and of course it's the one that's never going to go away. How to deal with Mega Man Legends 3. Well, personally, I think you should wait a few years. Maybe make it like a 30th anniversary title. Let CyberConnect 2 do it, because they've worked on the Tail Concerto series, which is basically Mega Man Legends, only with furries instead of robots. And down the line, please just come clean about the reasons why you canceled the game in the first place, because, let's be fair, I mean, that's probably one of the things that made the whole thing explode as poorly as it may have, because, well, first you cancel it like right after Inafune leaves. I mean, it was Inafune's baby, so it just sort of looks like a revenge plot against him, and then there was that whole Capcom Europe Twitter thing, which really, whoa, that was terrible. Blaming the fans for killing the game. Not cool, Capcom. Not cool at all. So bring, and another thing, bring back the dev room as well, but, I understand the whole point that you want to keep, game development sort of secret and sealed and everything, but, just let them choose that a couple of things. Maybe vote on things. Maybe do an enemy contest or two. Nothing really major, no big plot twists. Just sort of like, I guess sort of like how it was before, only, with less actual input, but still, voting on possible ideas. Concept art of characters, sort of choose their final design or what to work with. And, of course, Mega Man Universe, the game no one wanted until Legends 3 went away. Frankly, I would love to see Mega Man Universe come back, but lose the Mega Man 2 focus. That was one of the problems. I mean, I kind of thought of it as Mega Man Powered Up 2, but, I mean, actually, that would work too. Either make it Mega Man Powered Up 2, or just make it Mega Man Little Big Planet. Don't try to, like, make it Mega Man Little Big Planet with Mega Man 2 elements only. If you're going to do Mega Man Little Big Planet, just have everything, all the characters, all the bosses, all the weapons, all the stages, all the enemies, all the boss fights, everything. On the other hand, you could just do Mega Man Powered Up 2. Throw in a couple more games. Maybe do, like, Mega Man Powered Up 2 and 3, and maybe throw in Wily Tower for that. Maybe even throw in the original game, too. Maybe make it Mega Man The Wily Wars Powered Up. That'd be good. You could probably even do both of those things as downloadable games. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, you guys canceled it because you were in the alpha phase. I mean, I played the game myself at New York Comic Con in 2010, and frankly, I could see how it was rough. I could see that it needed work, but at the same time, you just had to let it keep going, and I just think that you canceled it prematurely. You really should have tried to do something with it. I mean, instead of just canceling it off the bat. I mean, it had a great art style and everything. And, it's disappointing to see a game like that die with such a little fanfare. And, very few people cared about that game. I was one of the few, and I still have my Arthur Lance, actually, from New York Comic Con 2010. So that brings us to the conclusion. What about the 25th anniversary? Now, clearly, all of the ideas I've just said, it's impossible to do these by 2012. So, what are the ideal plans here? What would I like to see for a Mega Man 25th anniversary? Well, I'd like to see more new games released on Virtual Console, like 6 and 7 and X3 on the WiiWare, the Wii Virtual Console. Maybe even Rockman and Forte, if you can swing that. On PSN, release the rest of the Complete Works games. On 3DS eShop, I would love to see all the rest of the Game Boy Mega Man games show up. Even 2, which was terrible, but especially 5 and 4. Those games were great. And I'd even throw in Extreme 1 and 2. You got Game Boy Color emulation on there. You might as well. You should really import more of the stuff. I mean, that ECAN soundtrack thing looked cool. Maybe even do a 2-pack of both the We Are Rockman CDs. Maybe some of those... Well, you've already got the D-Arts figurines and the model kits imported. Maybe speed along, have Udon do the Rockman 20+5 book. That would be great. And definitely, you should at least greenlight something this year, and give us a teaser about it, Titillate us. We care about Mega Man. We're just not seeing anything from him anymore. Come on. Seriously, guys. Just give us something. Greenlight something good, and then give us like a little wink and nod. Even like a 5-second video where you have like the 1-up icon from the old 8-bit Mega Man games, and it winks at us. That would be enough for me. That would tell me that Mega Man is still alive, and that you're actually considering to do something about him, as opposed to all this silence. You guys really need to, pick up the pace here, because Mega Man Crossover is a terrible looking game. It just sort of it diminishes. It literally diminishes the legacy of the Mega Man games. I mean, a game where you can only jump and shoot, auto-scrolling, boss fights like RPG battles. Are you kidding me? Is that really the best you could do? You thought that would actually work? I mean, I know it's a stupid free-to-play cell phone game, but come on. Show me a little more effort than that. Really, come on. More importantly, don't just give us a stupid collection of the games you've already put out on DLC. I already see that Japan is releasing all of the NES Mega Man games on eShop, and it's just not enough, man. You got to give us something we don't already have access to. It's pathetic. I mean, you've got Rockman 6 coming out there, but come on, do something a little better than that, man. Give us something, anything at all. This has been Retronaissance, and I'm Professor Icepick signing off.
Bye.